Let's talk about fighting fire with fire. So, my focus with this one is on the root chakra. So, that is our safety, security, stability, connection to tribe, and family. And when our safety and security are threatened and somebody's coming at us aggressively, we will have that tendency to respond in kind. So we will also be very aggressive and assertive. And if you have ever seen an argument like that, and many of us have, you know that it just burns bright and escalates and escalates and escalates until there's like this massive explosion. We don't want that. And it doesn't get us anywhere, it doesn't help. It just keeps us stuck in that cycle. So they're aggressive, so we're aggressive, and then we attract more people that are aggressive, and then we're aggressive, and we just keep trading it off. Same cycle, but different situations. And oftentimes, how we do one thing is how we do everything. So it might be showing up at work, and then the next thing you know, it's showing up in your relationship. So paying very close attention to that. And I've said this before, and I will continue to say it. If you give what you've got, then you will get what you already had. And that's the repeating cycles, right? So we have to step out of that cycle. We have to remove ourselves from that and balance that energy. So instead of fighting fire with water, right, which is the opposite, you would fight fire with, say, earth or air, where you are really stepping into a moment of pause and balancing that solar plexus and balancing that heart space, and coming from a place of like, okay, I recognize that you're triggered. Can we talk about this? Can you explain to me what is going on in your head, what you're feeling, and what specifically happened or what I'm doing that contributed to this? And let's talk and work through it. And you're coming from a very neutral, calm space, where you're willing to take accountability for your own roles in that situation, but they're also able to take accountability for their roles in that situation, right? So we've got to really work through that. And for some of us, we were never taught how to communicate. So this is going to feel really weird, and it's going to take some practice. And if you were able to communicate with others and say, hey, I'm really trying to stop doing this, and I'm trying to find a better way to approach this situation. So please give me some grace as I figure it out, and let me know how I'm doing in that. That can help tremendously, especially if you are locked into a romantic relationship where you're constantly at each other's throats and arguing and fighting. That can really be very freeing, and saying, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to change how I respond, and taking that personal responsibility within yourself. And that gives them space to then take personal responsibility for themselves too, right? Now, if they don't, that's their choice, and we can't control that, and that's okay. As you work through it and how you respond, they might feel more confident and secure in stepping in and taking responsibility for their roles as well. If not, that's where boundaries come in, and I will do a whole different video for that. But in the meantime, while you're waiting for it and you're curious, you can check out my blog at seekingdivineserendipity.com/blog. And there's there's boundaries in action, and then the down and dirty about boundaries. Start with the down and dirty one, and that'll walk you through how to place boundaries. And then the boundaries in action will explain how you can evaluate them in each moment, and ensure that they are working for you. So that being said, really enforcing those boundaries will be beneficial as you're stepping out of that cycle of fight fire with fire. And pay attention, because like I said, how we do one thing is how we do everything. And it's important to notice how you're doing it in many different ways. So it might not just be in interpersonal relationships. It might be, if you feel like somebody cut you off while you're driving, and then you respond aggressively and try to cut them off. So it can be very small ways, but in essence, when you really pare it down to the root of the issue, it will show up as the same thing. So pay attention to that and notice how it shows up for you, and then try to find a more balanced approach in your responses. And if you're struggling with finding a balanced approach, I would encourage you, since you're used to one side of the spectrum, go to the other side of the spectrum and list the opposites. And then once you have both of those extremes of the spectrum, look at how you can blend those two in the middle, and then take those choices from there and play around with it and tinker it until you find what works for you.